Thank you, sir. Mr. Goldman, I'd like to bring us back to the next president, not to this president, not the next president, and stay focused on the July 25 call and the president's abuse of office for his benefit and no one else's. Now, as my colleague, Ms. Jackson-Lee, confirmed, the president's request for these investigations was not an objective of U.S. foreign policy, correct?
That's right.
Is there any evidence that the National Security Council wanted an investigation into the Bidens, Burisma, or any alleged Ukrainian interference in 2016?
No.
Any evidence about the State Department wanting them?
No.
How about the DOD? Did the DOD want those investigations?
No evidence of that.
Did any witness tell you that they wanted Ukraine to investigate the Bidens of the 2016 election?
No.
And we certainly know now that the Ukrainians did not want it either. In fact, they made it very clear they did not want to be an instrument, this is a quote, an instrument in Washington domestic re-election politics. So the only person who was a beneficiary from that investigation is President Trump. And that's why everyone on the July 25 call knew it was wrong. They knew it was wrong. The investigative committee heard testimony from 3 witnesses who participated in that call. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, listen to that call.
Right. Mr. Goldman, even in real time, the witnesses who listened on that call testified they were concerned by the call. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in fact, both Lieutenant Colonel Vindman and Mr. Morrison immediately reported the call to legal counsel. Is that right?
That's right.
And why did they do so?
They did it for separate reasons. Lieutenant Colonel Vindman was concerned about the substance of the call, that it was improper. Mr. Morrison was concerned about the potential political ramifications if the call was released because of the substance of the call and the political nature of the call.
And they reported the call, that they actually reported that to the internal legal channels. Mr. Goldman, I've placed Lieutenant Colonel Vindman's testimony about why he reported the call on the screen. Am I correct his concern was based on the fact that the president was asking a foreign power to investigate a U.S. citizen?
Yes, and he was not the only witness to express that concern.
Am I also correct that he reported this concern because he thought it was a sense of duty, a duty that he felt something was wrong?
Yes, as you probably know, Lieutenant Colonel Vindman is a Purple Heart Award winner from, or medal winner from Iraq, and he has been in the Department of Defense for 20 years and has a great sense of duty and a great patriotism to this country, and felt that he compelled to follow that sense of duty and report it.
And Ms. Williams, Vice President Pence's aide, was present for the call, and she testified, as you brought out, or was brought out earlier, that it was unusual and inappropriate. Is that correct?
That's right.
Now, when Mr. Vice President Biden got involved with the European Union and the IMF and Germany and France and said, you've got to do something about corruption, that was okay because they were doing something for the common good of a bunch of people, as distinguished from what's going on here, where somebody's doing it for their personal good. Is that not correct?
Right. There's a distinction between doing an official act for an official purpose and doing an official act for a personal purpose. And if I could just respond to something Mr. Castor said, when he said that there were problems because Zlochevsky paid a bribe, the head of Burisma, in order to get out from under the prosecution, that was exactly the type of conduct that Vice President Biden wanted to shut down in Ukraine. That was exactly the type of non-anti-corruption policies that Vice President Biden was objecting to using the official policy. So that's one of the reasons that I don't know if that was one, but that's the type of thing that he and the Americans and the Europeans based.
That's the issue we've got to get in this committee, to understand the difference between doing something for the national good, for the international good, for the common good, and for your own good. That's the difference. Got to get that across. And those witnesses, many career nonpartisan officials, were clear they thought it was wrong to ask a foreign government to investigate a political rival. Video.
To investigate the Vice President of the United States or someone who is a U.S. official, I don't think we should be asking foreign governments to do that. I would also say that's true of a political rival.
It is improper for the President of the United States to demand a foreign government investigate a U.S. citizen and a political opponent.
It was improper and it was inappropriate, and we said that in real time.
Again, our holding up of security assistance that would go to a country that is fighting aggression from Russia for no good policy reason, no good substantive reason, no good national security reason is wrong.
and we are going to check that type of conduct. We are the people's house, and I yield back the balance of my time.